Alrighty, so I saw this video of Senator Sanders asking Zeldin, Trump's pick for director of the Environmental Protection Agency, whether he believes climate change is an urgent threat. Well, I'll pop in the video and take it from there.
Mr. Zeldin, thanks so much for coming in the office the other day. I enjoyed our chat. Mr. Zeldin, 2024, as you know, was the hottest year in recorded history. The past 10 years have been the hottest 10 years on record. We have seen in recent years unprecedented fires in the West Coast and in Canada, and we're seeing the horrific situation in LA right now. We have seen unprecedented flooding in China, displaced millions of people there.
Flooding in China, you say? I know a video that could explain that easy.
Can we engineer the weather? Cloud seeding is a form of weather modification that can produce what we want more or less of, more rain or snow, or even smaller hail pellets. China is building the world's largest weather modification system to artificially enhance rain that will cover an area of over 2.1 million square miles by 2025.
So the Chinese are using cloud seeding to enhance rain. So they said by 2025, right? So it's 2024. So how's it going?
Today, the largest cloud seeding system in the world is found in China. China creates 55 billion tons of artificial rain a year.
Huh. Looks like to me they created too much rain.
Also, cloud seeding does not always go as planned. In 2009, China performed cloud seeding in an attempt to end a drought, resulting in a temperature drop and a snowstorm that closed roads around Beijing.
So yeah, the Chinese, they use cloud seeding to make it rain. It rains too much, and then they get flooded. Or they get a snowstorm.
Unprecedented drought in Brazil, Africa, and elsewhere.
Droughts in Africa. Does that engineering the weather video talk about Africa? Well, let's go see.
There are also concerns about unwanted ecological changes. Rain in one area might bring drought to another, which could lead to ecological imbalances. After all, water that falls from the sky must go somewhere. If that extra precipitation falls in a place where it cannot be absorbed into the ground, then it could trigger flooding. Today, water shortages and floods affect every continent. Around 1.2 billion people, or almost 1/5 of the world's population, live in water-scarce areas. Another 500 million people face intermittent scarcity.
Does this engineering the weather video mention Africa? No, but it does mention droughts. You make it rain in one area, it might cause a drought in another area, like, I don't know, Africa or Brazil.
And in southern Africa, people are dying because of the drought and their inability to grow crops.
Yeah, crops need water to live, just like people.
Billions of people have been sweltering in Europe and elsewhere in unprecedented heat waves.
Now, did the engineering the weather video talk about heat waves? No. But that being said, cloud seeding changes the climate, so I wouldn't be surprised.
In the midst of all of that, President-elect Trump has said that climate change is a hoax.
In my opinion, their take on the climate change is a hoax. Because whenever they talk about climate change, they do not mention cloud seeding. I wonder why that is. Cloud seeding is the deliberate act of changing the climate change, to suit your needs. Perhaps after a couple years, maybe a couple decades of using cloud seeding, the powers that be realized that it was negatively affecting other countries that didn't use cloud seeding. But they themselves couldn't stop using cloud seeding because they had screwed up the climate so much that they wouldn't get any rain if they did. So who do they blame? They don't want to blame themselves, so they blame something else. The evil emissions.
You will be, if confirmed, one of the leading spokespeople in this country, representing us throughout the entire world. Do you agree with President-elect Trump that climate change is a hoax?
Well, first off, Senator, it was great to meet with you as well. I believe that climate change is real, as I told you. As far as President Trump goes, the context that I've heard him speak about it was with a criticism of policies that have been acted because of climate change, and I think that he's concerned about the economic costs of some policies where there's a debate and a difference of opinion between parties.
Some policies that I've heard, carbon neutral, net zero. How do you get carbon neutral? Well, you'd have to basically deindustrialize. If you deindustrialize, where do those industries go? China. I once heard a saying that China opens a new coal plant every week. Well, in 2022, China permitted the equivalent of 2 new coal power plants per week. This trend continued into 2023, where China accounted for 95% of the world's new coal power construction activity, permitting the equivalent of 2 large coal plants per week. In the first half of 2023, China permitted 52 gigawatts of new coal power, maintaining the previous rhythm of permitting 2 coal power plants per week. This ongoing trend suggests that China continues to open new coal plants at a rate of 1 per week. In other words, it doesn't matter how green the West goes, China will just belch out more CO2.
And I would just say for the record that, and let me ask you this question, all right? Some of us have used the word existential threat. What we're seeing in LA right now is apocalyptic.
Now, as for the LA fires, I'm going to wait until the investigation's over, because some people are a-hole arsonists.
And the other terrible weather disturbances, whether in the Midwest of this country, whether in many states that are represented right here. Unprecedented floods in my small state of Vermont. We've been hit over and over again in recent years. Our state capital, Montpelier, was underwater recently in a way that we have not seen. Would you describe climate change as an existential threat, meaning that there must be an urgency to get our act together, to address it?
I don't want to say it, but all these natural disasters could have been exacerbated by cloud seeding. And all these politicians, they talk about how, oh, the climate's changed so much within 100 years. Well, what's in 100 years? 75 years. And for more than 75 years, according to this video, we've been using cloud seeding.
Senator, we must, with urgency, be addressing these issues. And today, as we talk about any way at all that the EPA can do its part to make sure that our air and water are cleaner, healthier, and safer.
Gotta love how Bernie Sanders interrupts the guy when he's talking about how the EPA is going to clean up the air and water. Almost like he doesn't want to hear about that.
Look, EPA has enormous responsibilities over an enormous number of areas. I'm focusing on picking up what Senator Whitehouse said. I worry very much. Do you have kids?
Yes, Senator.
Okay. I worry. Many of us have kids. We have grandchildren. This is serious stuff. This is beyond politics, my friends. This is the future of humanity. And if we do not get our act together, and that is not just the United States of America, this requires international cooperation. So let me ask you another difficult question. If tomorrow, magically, the United States Congress did all of the right things, that would not be enough. Climate change is a global crisis. It requires the cooperation of China, Russia, Europe, Latin America, etc.
Bernie Sanders right about that. In order to combat this climate change that they're worried about, or their version of climate change, you have to get the cooperation of everybody. And good luck getting China's cooperation. India's trying to industrialize, so I don't think they're going to cooperate. Then you need Russia's cooperation. And how many other countries are trying to industrialize? They all need to cooperate, or it's just a waste of money.
As part of the IRA, had a provision in there for, I believe, $7 billion to lower electric bills for working class people all over this country by helping them install solar panels on their roof. We did it, my wife and I did it in our house. Our electric bill went down by 80%. Problem is many working class, lower income people can't afford the initial cost to install the solar panels. That's what this bill does.
That sounds nice, trying to lower the cost of solar panels so people could afford them. Only problem is, you need to have a house first. Take me, for example. I'd love to have a small little house with a little plot of land. Put some solar panels on the roof, maybe have a little solar array in the backyard with a greenhouse so I could grow my own vegetables, and then collect rainwater from the gutter. But guess what? I can't afford it. Well, that's it for my thoughts on Bernie Sanders' take on the climate change. Take care out there in Clown World.